The views and opinions expressed by the Loft Party Podcast panel participants and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the Good Times of Good People Company, the host, or its sponsors.
It's not getting it.
Welcome everybody out there in podcast land. The Good Times of Good People Company proudly presents the Loft Party Podcast, where it is always about good times, good people, and good talk. Now that you've received your invitation, the best way to let us know that you're in attendance is to download the party or become official by joining us on Facebook, subscribing on YouTube, iTunes Podcasts, or Google Play Podcasts. Good. Thanks for joining us. Grab a cocktail, light a cigar, or whatever you like to smoke. Share us with your friends, and make yourself at home. I'm your host and moderator, Rio, and let's introduce today's panel. Hey out there, podcast land. I'm your host, Rio, and welcome to the Loft Party Podcast, episode 80. I'm so indicted, and I just can't hide it. Between the Mueller indictments and Hollywood uncovering its many, excuse me for this bad pun, bad actors. What happens to powerful men? But before we get started, let me introduce today's panel. First, we have Chris O'Connor. He's the owner of Liquid 9 Entertainment and Investments, as well as having interest in Regal Whiskey and Office Works. We have Big Dave Elliott. He's the owner of C&P Construction. We have Jordan Bradbury, Industrial Supply Sales, and the creator of the Alchemist brand clothing. And the anonymous female, because she doesn't want you to know her name. And with all that said, I guess the question then is, well, what are we drinking? And today we are drinking, because it is very nippy outside, we're drinking mulled cider. Okay, I'm gonna give you the mulled cider recipe for like a batch. I'm not gonna give you each cocktail, I'm gonna give you a whole batch. So you need a bottle of Regal whiskey. You need 10 ounces of honey syrup, that's 1-to-1 honey and water. 6 ounces of lemon juice. 24 ounces of apple cider. 24 ounces of black tea. 6 cinnamon sticks. A teaspoon of clove, a teaspoon of allspice, and 3 star anise. So you combine all those ingredients in a slow cooker. You cook in that slow cooker till it's thoroughly melded. It takes about 30 minutes-ish. You add any flavors to garnish, and of course, you can either garnish with or all the above. A cinnamon stick, an apple slice, and maybe a little clove. Either way, in weather like we're having right now, mulled cider is delicious.
Dilly dilly.
So,
something to drink with the harvest moon.
Dilly dilly.
What we have right now.
I do love that ad. That's a great one.
Yeah, it is a good ad. And what are we smoking? One of my favorites, the Arturo Fuente Hemingway classic.
That's a good cigar.
Yes, it is.
One of my favorites also.
Dominican filler and binder, Cameroon wrapper. It's actually kind of a woody kind of a smoke out there for anybody who hasn't smoked it. It does have some cinnamon and nutmeg, little toasty notes to it. Goes quite well with our mulled cider, and for under $10, it's a great stick out there. So please join us, if you will. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a smoke, and we're gonna get into today's RIPs. So normally we do celebrity RIPs, and today I decided the bigger RIP, and maybe even some small amount of discussion, needs to go to the Texas church massacre. At last I checked, 26 killed over the weekend in a small Texas church, and we want to send the condolences out to
those families and friends of all those victims.
He said 10% of the city, 10% of their little town.
Jeez.
Yeah,
It's
because
such
there's
a
like
small.
50 total victims, 26 are dead, the rest are in the hospital, right?
Yeah,
And then there's only a
because
couple
it's
hundred people
such-
that live in the town.
Yeah,
the
it's
town,
such
yeah.
a small town that it was 10% of their population. And everybody in the town was affected by it because they either knew or had family. And the youngest person was 5, and the oldest one was 72 that were
Okay.
killed.
And then there's one woman who was 8 months pregnant that was killed, expecting a kid. And there's just a lot of sad people.
Yeah, I just...
Well, the guy that did it was a confirmed atheist on his Facebook and everything else. So he was always cranking on that. There were fortunately a couple of individuals that heard the shots and fired at him, and got him running, or he might have even killed more, which is ghastly to think of that he even could have killed more than that.
Yeah.
And managed to chase him down, and it appears he took his own life.
Well, I'm
But he
sure
was
we'll
shot
talk
once
about
and
it more
then shot
later, but
himself.
I mean, that being atheist wasn't all that the
Well,
issue
that
was.
doesn't help the fact. Part of the problem here, and I think this is an interesting point. You're raised by your parents, hopefully, or parent, to have some respect for folks. And I think it's a lost morality that you look back at a lot of these mass shooters and they don't have any faith. They don't have any morality. Their right and wrong is very skewed or not at all. And without some type of faith or some type of being, you can become evil. And that is the face of evil. These people are evil. They're evil people. They've let the darkest thoughts in the back of their mind come forward and then acted them out.
But what got me with this guy was before his name could get onto the registry for not being able to own a weapon,
He shouldn't have known.
because he was discharged,
Dishonorably
discharged for
Disorderly
beating his wife.
conduct.
Yeah, for beating his wife and 11-month-old child.
Yeah,
I just was like,
but
11 months old?
it wasn't before he could get on the registry. The
Right.
FBI forgot to put him on the registry.
And this has
There's a
happened a
big
lot.
difference.
This has happened a lot. It's just, in the Vegas shootings, that man bought weapons that should have put up a red flag to the FBI.
Why though? It was proven that he didn't buy all the components to make the weapons that he. I mean, we've already had this conversation, but he bought the components to that separately, so there wasn't anything that would cause a red flag. But that was kind of what our discussion was. Whether you buy it at the same time or not, you should be able to see a trail of,
Bingo.
you know.
Yeah.
But that
If
takes
you
a,
put
that
these
takes
things
a
together,
lot.
you have an automatic
That
machine
takes
gun.
a lot of money and a lot of time and effort to put something like that together. I mean, if you think about what it would take to create a system that could do that
It would take
fairly, it would take a lot of money that Congress isn't willing to spend, and the NRA would
There's
completely
already-
fight.
No. I will argue that one.
Database.
The NRA will never fight any type of background checks. Every gun I've ever bought, I've had
The
to do a
NRA is
background check. You
already
realize that?
fighting background checks.
I have done background checks on most every gun I bought, and the ones that I bought. Now, of course, I'm a citizen, so I'm not doing things illegally. So when I bought pistols, several pistols from other people, I took them and registered them with the sheriff's department that the sale was completed and I had those guns.
Listen,
But-
there's
By
different,
law, that's what I'm
there's
supposed to
different
do.
local, county, and state laws. There is no federal law that mandates it. So, for example, when you say the NRA didn't lobby against it, they absolutely did. That was the whole gun show loophole that they got it implemented into the
Yeah.
bill. So you can go to a gun show and buy as many guns as you want.
Well,
within
and
that
isn't
gun
it, you don't, I thought you didn't have to register, didn't have a background check for a rifle, but you do for a pistol.
There's all kinds of
it just a gun is a gun is a gun.
But I and myself and most of NRA members I know, and all the gun code members I know that I'm a member of, we don't have problems with background checks at all. Not a one of us. Not a one of us.
The unfortunate thing, though, is you're not the one making the policies.
Well, and here's a guy who spent a year in jail for domestic violence against his wife and kids. That's absolutely unconscionable. He should be allowed near a gun in his life.
Go back to our
The
politics.
governor of Texas came out and said twice, he's like, he should never have been allowed to have a gun.
Oh.
It was not legal for him to even have these guns.
We got a whole bunch of people. You go down, how many kids in our hood have guns that shouldn't be allowed to have? Felons.
Well, most of them don't get them
How many
illegally.
felons,
Don't
not
get them
just
legally,
in our
though.
hood,
people just
how many
criminal
felons
records?
everywhere have guns?
Right, you can't vote if you have a felony. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You can go shoot somebody?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, yeah, because it's. I think the real problem with him is he was able to obtain a gun through legal channels that he should not
They
have
went
been
to
able.
Colorado and Arizona.
Yeah, but he should not have been able to own a gun. Period.
Yeah.
Especially, at what you spend a year in jail for a crime, yet in all that time, no agent put his name on a registry. Like, how long does it flippin' take to do that?
Yeah.
You know, it should be immediate. There shouldn't be any lapse of time to do data entry.
I don't
They
understand
have
why we
records
don't
and
have
they
an
have a
national
system.
database myself.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. I'm blown away
against-
by that. Because here we got the NSA turns around and knows when we made phone calls.
That's what I'm saying. They do have a database. It already exists.
So the NSA can check on
But they
us at
don't
any
talk
time and
to each
anywhere.
other. They
Yeah,
don't
that's
talk to
really
each
the
other.
problem.
But they can't get a
There's just
national
no-
database going?
They
Are you
just
serious?
Don't, they don't use it. They don't have the laws in place to be able to do that. Now it would take literally just passing a law and going, okay, you can tap into our system. Have you ever gone to get a global entry card or the TSA pre-check?
Yeah, I've heard.
I got
that.
TSA pre-check.
I mean, they will call up parking tickets that you had
Yeah.
from 10 years ago. They do have a database in place. So,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
they got it.
All right.
Onward.
We could definitely spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to move. I do want to move forward because this will eventually tie back into the grander topic of the show. But we want to move from RIPs to happy birthdays, because we never want to leave the top of the show on down note. So first, Emma Stone. She's been in several things. Latest was La La Land. She turned 29. I feel very bad for this guy. Some days, Lamar Odom turns 38 today.
Still alive.
Yeah.
He has a chance for
Despite
redemption in
himself.
life.
Yeah, right.
He has a chance for redemption. He has a chance to make something of himself.
I hope, and
I hope he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sallie Field turns 71.
The
today.
Flying Nun.
Yeah,
Crazy.
turns 71 today.
I'm the only one that ever saw that show when it was on.
No, it is not, but I've seen this show since. Good show.
You weren't.
Was it in
You were-
syndication when I was
Used
a
to be on,
kid?
used to be on
You
Nick
might
at
have
Night.
been 3 or 4.
Nick at Night.
I would have been alive when it was on.
No,
Yeah,
I
but you
remember
remember
seeing
watching
it.
it,
Like
yeah.
my mom, maybe it was reruns or
We'd have been
something,
watching
but
reruns.
You saw reruns.
yeah, because I know my mom and dad watched it. Well, at least my mom did. I don't remember.
I think it was off by the early mid-70s. I think it was off the air. The original
But it got picked up.
series
Got picked up by Nick at Night for a while.
sitcom. Yeah.
It was on that.
Okay. Yeah, so with that, we want to say rest in peace to all those who passed. We want to say happy birthday to all those that are having a birthday today. And with that, we'll be right back.
Hey, you can search for the Loft Party Podcast on iTunes Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and on our Good Times with Good People YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, tweet us on Twitter, and if you like the content we provide, donate to us on Patreon. www.patreon.com/Loft Party Podcast. You can find all of our links below. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
All right. And we are back. And before we get too deep, let's play a quick party game. So, describe one experience that you had where you took a huge leap of faith. That's question number one. Question number two, and we don't have to answer these both at the same time. In fact, we should probably go around and do the one and then do the other, but I want to give both questions. And the other is that it is said that everybody has a price. Do you? And how much is it? So,
Everybody has a price?
yeah.
Okay.
So, first,
you do it for $1 million.
But it always seems relative to what the thing is.
Yeah. So, I didn't put a specific scenario because I think that when you say a price, usually you go to you have to do one of the worst things you would ever think about doing. And would you ever, for any amount of money, and if so, how high is that price tag before you go, you know what, I might do it for that. But I wouldn't do it for anything below that because, I do think most people, if they're being honest, probably do have a price tag. But I do think the direct attachment to your morality that makes that price tag really high, depending upon what the act is. I could never shoot my mom. I just couldn't do it. For a certain price, could I smack her?
For the right barbecue
I hope and pray
Slap your mama.
mother never hears this episode. Because she will smack your ass down.
Well, first of all I said was
even entertaining the thought.
Her price is smacking you.
Well, exactly. Because there's a price.
You may have a problem
At
just
least
saying that out
two
loud.
other people here have met your mom, so I'm
true.
pretty sure
And I happen
they
to like your
know
mom.
Oh yeah,
that she
mom's
would
a
beat
very-
your ass
Oh, yeah.
down.
She's a wonderful conversation.
Now I
She's a
will
very
have to say
attractive woman.
that price would be really high. For one, that price would be ridiculously high.
You better
I think you
explain
dug
some
yourself
shit
a large
before
hole.
it happens.
And two, I would have to split it with her. I couldn't.
It would be 90 for her, 10 for you.
Trying to bail yourself out.
Right.
Watching you back on
Edit
this
this
ledge
out
is like
later.
the best part.
Exactly.
You're trying to bail yourself out, and you're too low and too late.
All right, so
I'm calling your mama.
let's get. Hey now. Let's get to the first question, and that is: describe one experience where you had to take a huge leap of faith. So, we got one.
I got it. My huge leap of faith would be buying my business. Where I was working as a foreman in the field all the years, worked for the company for 17 years, and thought that I would be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of difference between running a little side business like I had. And I had a business back in New Hampshire, I had a little construction business out there, but only had 4 employees. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden you go running a company with 40 employees or 50 employees.
Yeah, that's a different.
I can promise you that you all think it's kind of cool and dandy. You think you're kind of big man on campus and I can do this, and then you start sitting in that chair and reality starts beating you about the head.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you're trying to run your first payroll and make the money, and you're just scared to death. And there are still times when I got $38,000 payroll, which I have most every week now. The funny thing is that when I had a $30,000 or $32,000 payroll back in those days, the amount of money was just boggling to me. The amount of money I had to pay in insurance, the amount of money I had to pay for rent and vendors and everything else that I got to take care of. And I got to be honest, nowadays, yeah, it's still a lot of money, but it's all relative.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter if I had 10 people working for me or 40 people working for you or 100 people working for you. You still have to come up with X amount of dollars.
Yeah, I think that's probably a thing that most people that start a business don't realize. You know, they're like, oh, I'm going to start this business because I love doing this. And they forget about all the
responsibility and burden of business.
And that you have people's livelihoods, you know, in your
I'm
hands.
responsible for all those families. And that is a burden.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you have all these people working for you and they're dependent upon you to make their check and try to provide them with a decent work environment and be able to give them raises and bring them along and promote them
and I imagine that
provide benefits.
You providing your own income too is probably difficult because you don't have somebody else paying you. You're
Well,
not
like when I
going
went-
and working for somebody else anymore.
Like when I went 3 years without a paycheck during the recession
Yeah.
and I lived on Michelle's income and I'm still washing dishes.
That'll do it.
Oh, you'll be washing dishes for her
Well,
forever.
that's done. Once a man steps into that, it's over. It's over. She will do her nails, and nothing is ever going to get in between the soap and her nails again.
There is a thing called gloves.
Well, actually, you know, Michelle's retired right now, and she does have some pretty good job opportunities she's looking at. She's ready to go back to work now that all of our family situations are taken care of. Podcast doesn't know, we lost both of her parents in the last year and a half or so, which is, you know, it's kind of a sobering thing because the word we were trying to look for is that you become orphaned. And that's a funny word all of a sudden, you know, because you are all of a sudden in the world by yourself.
Yeah.
And you lose one parent, you still got the other one. But when you lose both of them, you're it. That's it. Just you and your brothers and sisters now, and that's it.
Yeah, you become.
So if you have brothers and sisters.
You aren't truly going to become.
So anyway, that's my leap of faith.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. No,
10
that's absolutely.
10 and a half years now later, I'm still here. I'm still running the business, and I will give a lot of divine intervention on that. I know I had the hand of God up and His strength upon my shoulder more than once,
I hear that.
just to help me get through.
Anybody else know theirs off the top?
Yeah, mine would be the same as yours. I mean, I went from making a shit ton of money at a good corporate job, it's great, to, and this is a classic story, I think, where you are doing well on this little business you started and you want to grow it, but you don't have nearly enough money or capital to get there yet, and so at what point do you make that jump? And, you know, I went from making really good money down to, I think, $26,000, you know, in our first year, and that was a little bit of a shock to the system. But you have to have the faith that it's going to grow back up. But then on the flip side, probably the other big leap of faith I had was selling out of it, which was super hard to do because that was something I started with nothing and all of my money, and then coming to the realization that maybe now is the best possible time you can get out of it. So,
I think that's even more so, is letting go of something that you created.
it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it is hard. I drive by that building every day and it's still like, I miss being there sometimes.
But still, there's a reward, though, in building it to that point. Because I look to sell my business someday. And there's a reward in building that to the point where it attains a value.
Yeah.
And then you're able to sell it for that value.
Yeah.
You know, so you created that. That's something that you have coming to you. Because if you created it and it has enough value that you can make a good dollar off it when you sell it, hey, more power.
The dollars are nice. It just never takes away the emotion of the situation either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have to say I took a leap of faith when I bought my condo over at Coffee Lofts. There was a wall project pending, and I heard whispers of it being upwards of $1 million or so before we closed, and I just jumped out and said, hey man, I want to use this as, you know, an investment property one day. Let's just do it. And the numbers came back on the project. It was much less than $1 million, but I was scared to death. You know, first property, you know, the whole process, just going, you know, through the lending and all that, closing, it was just difficult, but I just jumped out there and did it. So
Good for you, because that is nerve-wracking.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah, man, it was tough. So.
And once you take the leap, it's not over though. Now it's time to get to work.
Right.
You know, anytime you take a leap like that, you've leaped. Now you got to start walking, and then you got to learn to run.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like that.
Sometimes you try to run before you walk, and that creates a problem. So you know, it's all part of it's a journey, and it's a cool journey.
No, for sure.
As long as it works.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I listened to this other it's a podcast, and Gary Vaynerchuk, the Daily V.
Yeah. I listen to Daily.
Yeah. He talks about just like failing on purpose. Like they just jump out there.
Nothing's perfect.
Nothing is.
Nothing is perfect. You have to adapt and roll, and that's life. That's business. That's everything. You have to. Nothing's perfect. There's no utopia.
Yeah, just knowing yourself and just having the opportunity.
Sorry, anonymous female. There's no utopia out there. I know
You just told her there's no Santa Claus.
Podcast needs to know. That's why I love the anonymous female, because she does have this dream of utopia. She has this beautiful, beautiful mind and this beautiful world she would like to see us all live in. And I'll give her kudos for that, but it's a difficult thing to find and achieve.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
Any
I think my biggest leap of faith has been probably letting my children be adults and knowing or hoping that I raised them right. That's probably been my biggest one.
Yeah. I mean, that's not.
Just the fact that you raised them, you gave them their best shot.
Yeah. You know, all you can do is try not to screw them up too much.
That is for sure. I think mine was probably moving to Kansas City.
Well,
There was nothing in my. There was nothing in me that was like, oh yeah, Kansas City, that's what's up. I mean, I'm for anybody out there in podcastland who doesn't know, I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I am very much a Chicagoan. But there was a point when the economy was crazy, and a lot of stuff. And it's funny because it was before the actual market meltdown. There's an old saying that said when Main Street catches a cold, the hood's already had the flu for 6 months, and that's really what it was. It was 05, and the hood caught the flu, and so I was starting to see a lot of people I knew get laid off. I was actually between jobs. I was working temp really steady, but I hadn't landed anything in particular. And then I actually had a nibble, and so I'm going to take this job. I walked away from the temp job that I was on to take that job, get there first day, and they said, actually your paperwork isn't finished being processed, blah, 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 can't start you. Which is insane, because they had already emailed me offer letter, the whole smitty. And so then the temp job called me and said, because I had actually become really cool with everybody that I was working with there. And I still had the building pass because I was working at the Prudential building in downtown Chicago. So they're like, if you do me a favor, when you get a chance, drop the building pass off. How's the new job going? I said, well, actually, it's crazy. I went, they wouldn't let me start because they sent my paperwork. Hold on. Okay. Like 2-3 minutes later, come back to the phone. So, until your new job starts, can you come back? But yeah, because I mean, at the time I wasn't turning down any money. So I wound up going back, and then they immediately start so, Kansas City. You ever thought about Kansas City? No. But they were persistent, and one day they actually called me in the office and, hey, you know, we really like you to consider moving to Kansas City and come, because the company was going to be moving to Kansas City. And I literally laughed at the first job offer because it was just like, I can't live on that. Are you out of your mind? They're like, well, the cost of living is cheaper. I don't care if the cost of living is cheaper. I can't live on that. You're out of your mind.
My cost of living.
Right. My cost of living is not cheaper. I don't know about yours. So they're like, well, what could you live on? I said, like 10,000 more than that. And they're like, huh. And they went away a week, maybe two, maybe a week. They came back. We think we found your money. Oh, you're serious. And then of course I took it seriously, and you know, my friends were all like, "Oh, don't go. That's crazy. You don't know anybody there." And, but you know, honestly, it was one of the best things that I could have done for myself, for my daughter. I wound up meeting some incredible friends, and they've made quite a life here in Kansas City. So, hey, I can't complain about that particular leap of faith, because to tell you the truth, I don't know if I'd be doing this show had I not taken that leap of faith, because that was probably my second biggest leap of faith, is starting a show that I wasn't sure would have an audience, but at the same time, it was just like, well, it would be fun to do. I sit around and have these types of conversations with my friends here all the time. Why not take them?
It's called fate, Rio.
Yeah.
Sometimes fate happens to us.
Yeah, sometimes
There's not a thing we can do about it. It just happens, and it happens good.
Yeah, and it did. So, getting back to the second question. Is anybody going to admit a price?
I got a price.
Okay, we got brainstorm.
My price is $8,500, and that's the price of a stainless steel Submariner Rolex with the Cyclops eye. And my thing is,
where are you shopping?
it's they've got there's one at Tibble and Mariotto's Jewelers.
Okay.
That's Willie's coat down on the corner. What are you talking about?
Well, I was checking because I'm like, is that retail or is that?
That's Willie's coat.
That's retail.
That's Willie's coat on the corner. He got that big leather coat he pulls open. You know.
So, at that retail price, it's like, I mean, you can get them for less, but they're used, and you don't get the 5-year Rolex warranty and so on.
No.
So that's my dream watch. It's James Bond wore it. I just like it. It's sleek. You know, I can dress it up, dress it down.
Hey, I'll show you a picture of my Rolex dream watch.
Okay.
All right.
It's slightly more expensive than $8,500, but we'll keep going.
Well, let me give you a little story about my Rolex.
Wait. Hold on before we do a Rolex story, because I want to make it around the table with everybody's prices.
Okay.
But yours.
So yeah, it's like $8,500 MSRP. My thing is, I want to get this watch. Like, I want to get it on my own. It's going to be like a sort of a
reward for your hard work.
A reward for my hard work.
Yeah.
But my wife is like, that's crazy. It's a watch. It's a lot of money.
Well, have you ever explained why watches are
You
expensive?
said we weren't getting into.
Well, but I do think he needs
can come
armor.
back to that.
He needs armor if
Definitely,
he's
that's
going
a tough
to.
conversation.
Yeah. Well, because expensive watches are expensive really for one reason. It shows other men, as my younger cousin said to me this week, actually, and I was very touched when she called to ask my advice about something, because she's mid-20s, and she was asking my advice about something. She says, I didn't know anybody else in your age bracket that was a man of quality. And I was like, well, goddamn, cuz. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it shows other men of quality that your time is valuable.
Right.
That's actually why the expensive watches. Now, on top of the build and all of the other things that go into it, it really is a symbol to other men of quality that your time is valuable. But I digress. $8,500.
Yeah, $8,500 for the Submariner, stainless steel, black dial.
The Submariner's a beautiful watch. That has the blue face on it.
It's a beautiful watch.
Yeah, I'm looking at a Submariner for my second Rolex.
Okay. So my thing is, I'm talking with my pops. I'm like, hey man, I'm looking at this watch or whatever. I want to do it. I want to, accomplish, something big.
Right.
Hey man, well, so you're doing well, man. You just had a son, and I was like, He said, I'll get you one. I said, I don't know, man.
No, that's something you want to do for yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to do that for myself. He's like, man, it's just, it's at least I can. So I've been thinking lately. That may be something I. It
might be okay. Right.
I hate that, but I keep trying to ask my pops. I mean, hey man, a lot of people, you know what I mean? He didn't do much when I was coming up.
Right. That might be the problem. That might be the problem.
I'm saying, hey, man, yo's down.
He's solidifying his love for $8,500.
Right.
Okay.
So I'd say that.
You know what you tell your pops?
What's
Say,
that?
Pops, I'll own that watch someday myself. And then I'll pass that on to my son.
That works. Yeah, sentimental value.
And my son will have that watch. My father passed his Rolex on. When my father passed, my mother passed that Rolex on to me. However, what you have to realize about a Rolex is that you have to have them cleaned every so often.
Right.
And it's like $400, $500 to get it cleaned. However, I was on the job site the other day and I had to adjust the time, and I'm like 3 years beyond time to get it clean. And I pulled it out, and the little bezel on the end of the stem went boink, and went bing, 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 bing down a set of stairs into a basement with all kinds of sawdust and everything down there. And I went, this is not going to go good. I'm going to go down and look for this, but I stand a chance of finding a needle in a haystack.
Very true.
I did not find it. So I took it into Tivol, and it's going to be $1,200 to get it all fixed up, but it will have a 2-year warranty on it again.
Okay.
That works.
And that watch has increased in value $7,000.
All right.
From the time it was bought to the time it is now $7,000. And it is now a classic.
There you go.
What is it?
It's a Rolex Datejust.
Datejust, okay.
Oyster Perpetual.
Perpetual Datejust, yeah.
So, since you jumped in, do you have a price, Big Dave?
Mario, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. I don't have a price. I've got to do so many things in life, and my life is so rich from all the things I've experienced in my life. There's nothing that nobody could pay me to do that I ain't done already.
All right. That sounds good to me. Chris?
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I can't think of. Anybody who knows me knows that I still drive a shitty car, still live in a shitty house, still all this. Just the material things are not that big of a deal to me.
There's no amount of money to
Just
make me
don't
happy
care.
that I haven't experienced already.
Yeah, I've done a lot of fun things, and luckily I don't have to sweat out money anyway, so I really don't feel the pressure to have to do anything. I'm like, okay, let's do what I want to do. That's not the motivator for me.
Yeah, no, but I will say, for anybody out there in podcast land, I think, probably Jordan and I are probably at similar points in our life, and the two of you having started and ran successful businesses, and you're at a different place where, like you say, money isn't your motivator anymore. And to tell you the truth, it's really not mine either. My my motivation really is seeing the things that I've birthed succeed. It's really not. Now, the markers of that success are the watches and the things like that. But I don't live for the markers either. Like, I just want the thing that I created to succeed.
But those markers are important. It's like this ring I got. I was my 50th birthday. I'm almost 60 now. My 50th birthday, my mother and my wife took my diamond out of my dad's ring and a diamond out of my grandfather's ring and made this watch. So it's the Irish trifecta.
That's all right.
I mean, this ring, not the watch, but the ring. And, I don't know how expensive the dang thing is. Couldn't care less.
Right. It means something.
But that means something, and that's one thing you're right about men, and even women. They like to have things handed down from their grandmother or their great grandmother. They want to have something older. That means a lot to them in a lot of ways. But for us, our bling kind of says something about us. You're right.
Yeah.
It's not. Somebody sees that, and
it's not about the bling. It's about what it symbolizes.
That the bling has.
Exactly.
Something about just the Rolex on your wrist is.
It's a successful thing, and as male, our egos need that little bit of stroking.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of pride in that ego.
Yeah, from time to time.
And I justify it I wake up and go to work every day and I see the Patek billboard up there. It's like, I don't want a Patek Philippe. I want a Rolex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, the funny thing is, once you get the Rolex, will you eventually want the Patek Philippe?
Probably so.
That's the thing.
For sure.
Well, the thing is, the Rolex, it's a mechanical watch.
Yeah.
So you wear it all the time. I still feel funny not having it on. I think it should be ready to pick up here in a week.
It's just something about, you can spot it a mile away. You're at the bar, guys got one down there.
It as soon as you see it.
You know it.
There's two watches that I can spot a block away. Yeah. I can spot a Rolex, or I can spot a Panerai a block away. It's just the bezels, the bezel on a Rolex or the bezel on a Panerai are so unique that. Yeah, I know what that is. Everything else you got, what kind of watch is that?
Yeah.
You don't have to ask what a Rolex or Panerai. You just know.
Man.
Yeah.
You just know, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of struggling with, is it shallow or is it,
I think everybody at this table will probably tell you it's not that shallow.
I think it's shallow. No, I'm just kidding.
So what about an anonymous female?
I don't think it's shallow. It's just I've never felt competition with those people.
Yeah. Well, it's not even competition. It's for me.
You know what?
Yeah.
I look at it as everybody should reward themselves when they achieve a goal.
And that to me is what it is.
Whether
you achieve a big goal.
Going out and celebrating and picking up a check. Or it's buying a watch, or just taking a vacation.
Sports car.
It's something that
whatever trip you.
Everybody has their something.
And I'll say this about my wife. My wife likes it that I have these things. She likes it when she goes out with me, and I got my bling on. I got another ring I'll wear as my grandfather's.
Yes, but Michelle is a breed into herself. Where
that ain't no lie. I'm lucky I'm still alive.
We've talked about Michelle's closet.
Yes.
So.
But I like it that she takes pride when I look good.
Yeah.
Now, however, I've dressed myself many times, and she comes up and goes,
"What is
you
that?
wearing that?" And some of our biggest fights are over that. I said, "God dang it! After all this time, I should know how to dress myself." And she goes, "No, you don't."
And then you go and change.
And then I go and change. And then we fight on the car for 15 minutes. And by the time we get to where we're going, we're all right.
All right. So, anonymous female, is there a price, and what is it?
Well, you know me. Do you think I have a price?
Me personally? No, I don't think you have a price. And if it is, it's probably pretty high. I'm talking in the millions. I'm not talking, but I could be wrong.
You see how she deflected that, Jordan? She went boom.
That's a skill set.
It was like, hey.
No, I really don't. I don't. I am a firm believer on karma and things coming back, and
yep.
I mean,
Sure.
you can call it what you want, but I've seen it happen to people that are just willing to sell themselves or others or
So you
treat
sold the
people-
devil when you do that.
Yeah, treat people horribly, and nothing good comes from it.
Don't say you sold the devil.
At the end of the day, I want to be able to lay my head down and be okay with who I am.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's
But the
important.
devil went down to Georgia and he was looking for a soul to steal.
He was in a bind.
And he's way behind. He's looking to make a deal.
Down. Sorry.
With all that, we'll be right back.
Hey out there in podcast land, we would not be doing our duty if we didn't acknowledge the sponsors of the Loft Party Podcast, the Majestic Restaurant and Jazz Club, and the Majestic's Pendergast Club. The Majestic carries on Kansas City's tradition of great food and jazz. Let them show you why they are the classic Kansas City steakhouse experience. 931 Broadway, just 3 blocks from the Kansas City Convention Center. J. Rieger and Company, a Kansas City distillery. Whether whiskey, gin, or vodka, neat or on the rocks, J. Rieger, Kansas City, sipping good since 1887. C&P Construction, Kansas City's premier wood framers. 50 years of quality framing and craftsmanship. Just email david.cnpservice@gmail.com and start building something new today. And our friend and frequent guest, Lane Boland. Thank you all for all that you do.